like I guess papers shouldn't be just valued for their results, but valued for their motivation. Like, oh, I was working on this problem for these very like well-founded
Mhm.
reasons, but it
Yeah.
didn't, work
It didn't
out.
pan out. Yeah.
It
And
didn't
then
pan
wouldn't that
out.
be
But it was
great? Would
important for this
Yeah,
reason.
because that then would make negative results socially acceptable.
Hmm.
If you were evaluated on the motivations, I mean, I never thought about this. It's a great suggestion. Uh, isn't that far more interesting? Like, I really wanted to test if this protein would have this effect. Um, I detected no effect, but I thought this was a really interesting idea because of why. Um, and then you get evaluated on the question rather than the answer. That would make the vital job of publishing negative results far more better, far more easier.
Yeah, because I feel like people talk about this distinction like in decision making. Someone's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, that was a bad decision." And it's like, no, that was a good decision. It just had a bad outcome. Like you shouldn't
Right.
evaluate a decision based on what happened, but based on like the input into making that decision.
Hmm.
And somehow, yeah, in research we don't do that. We just look at the outcome
We
and
always look at the outcome,
yeah,
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 and then we never publish the negative results.
yeah.
Uh, that costs humanity, I would say, so much. This bias towards success bias,
Mm.
because the amount of time people invest in making those mistakes over and over and over again
Right.
um,
Yeah.
is again an opportunity cost, and it's called folklore, right? It's folklore that this idea won't work, and what folklore means is a bunch of people tried, and they screwed up and didn't work, and then they didn't publish it, and the only way you can know this is if you know the right people at the coffee break,
Right. 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 Like sick POVMs.
like sick POVMs, yeah.
Did you try and solve that at some stage?
I saw the
I definitely.
consequences. Yeah, I saw the
Me
consequences
too.
of trying to solve this.
Yeah.
How people wasted away and became husks of their former selves. I thought that's too scary. I don't want to get into that business.
I gave a tutorial once in the quantum theory course. I like kind of brought up in passing CPO VMs, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
don't try to solve this because everybody has tried and failed. And
yeah.
yeah,
They,
actually, like a bunch of students tried to solve it. They just
yeah,
people like a challenge.
yeah, they love a
Yeah,
challenge. Yeah, and
yeah,
people really they go crazy over this problem, and
yeah,
I've seen the good minds sort of twisted and by this problem. And it's such an insider thing as well.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I remember at some stage some group, I don't even remember who it is. It was a group of people who tried to start a journal of negative results, and they asked
yes,
me to be on
on the
the like
editorial board.
board or something like that. Um and I agreed, but then like somehow nothing came of
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And I'm guessing that there's, tons of people who've tried to do something like this or tried
Yes,
to, because everyone I talk to thinks it's a problem that we're not publishing negative results, and yet
yes,
somehow that never changes.
yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because the incentive structure we're in is designed by whatever environment we're in, and they're not willing to change it. So they're not
Mm,
willing to reward it in the same way that a nature paper gets rewarded. But boy, I would love to see the notebook of things that didn't work out for Vaughan
mm.
Jones or for Katayev. Just that notebook of things that didn't work. That would be
This
super.
this kind of reminds me of something that I also thought of earlier in our conversation. I think it's John Seipel. Someone suggested this as a way of picking research topics, which is to find the people, the researchers that you respect the most, and then
Hmm.
go and find their least cited paper, and
That's
then
such
like
a good
work on that.
algorithm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a good algorithm. Yeah,
Which is
um,
kind of the opposite of like the thing before that, someone saying this is
yeah.
an important problem to work on. It's
Exactly.
more
Yeah.
like this is my
Like
least successful problem.
this is really how many times I've heard someone say, "Yeah, the result I'm proudest of has
Mm.
15 citations," and
Mhm, mhm.
nobody ever followed it up. So often, yeah. Yeah, there's gold out there. There's treasure out there. If you look at these papers, it's a great
Do you
idea.
think, because another thing that I get lots of people usually I guess it doesn't really matter which countries they're from, but I get a lot of people who are really wanting to get into research,
Hmm.
but they don't have like mentors. They don't have maybe
Right.
they can
Yeah.
get into a PhD position, but they'd like to like learn how to do research, and they're like, "Oh, can you supervise me?" And it's like, "Well, no, because I just like supervising
It's
someone is really hard, and
it's
I
a
don't have
lot of
time to just
energy.
do that."
Yeah.
Do you think that's a solvable problem to scale? Teaching people how to do real high quality
Interesting.
research, or is that only something you can learn in the apprenticeship model?
Um, I reckon you could overcome a lot of it. You could automate it maybe. This is just a lot of basic research skills that you pick up from your mentors, and you could have picked that up from, I don't know, an AI agent, right? It doesn't need
Mhm.
to be a mentor. I mean,
So
mentors are
chat
important, not
PhD, oh no, PhD
chat.
advisor GPT.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly this. Like I found myself repeating after a couple of years of supervising. I just repeat myself.
Mm,
I'm this very boring tape recorder that you can press the right button and I'll say the same thing over and over again. And I say it to every research student that comes through. And I try and record these things in the form of a blog post or something like that. And so
mhm.
that's the part of research training which is automatable, which is outsourceable, which is easy to 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 give to someone else, or to um, to just take out of the mentoring process altogether, right? Go watch this video.
Have you had success with this? That people watch those videos or read those
Y-
blogs and then don't need to hear it from you personally? Because I've
Yes,
had the opposite. Like every time
yeah, I
I've
could get
written
that. Yeah.
some advice article, like people then want to talk to me and have a conversation because they want like personalized advice. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, there's no personalized advice. I just keep saying the same thing over and over again.
Exactly that. Yeah.
So,
Like, for
but
me, it
people
works a
still
little
want
bit
to.
better because I just say it with authority, right? I often
Okay,
get asked how to give a good presentation. I mean,
right.
I'm still unsure after all these years if I can, if I give good talks. You never know, right? You never know. Um, and
I
so,
can't remember seeing any of your talks, but your lectures are good. So,
well,
um,
I'm grateful for you saying that. I've been complimented, but what's sometimes you compliment people who are bad because you don't know
okay,
what to
well,
say.
I didn't do that. But yeah.
Yeah. No, not accusing you of this, but in the end, I had some tips that I learned, right? And so I just got sick of telling people, going through that half an hour discussion of how to create a good presentation. So I made a
Mhm,
video. It was the first
mhm,
video I ever uploaded. It's totally shit. It's the worst quality you can ever imagine. Um, but it has everything that I think is important. Maybe I revise one or two points. And so every time that discussion comes up, I just say, go watch the video. I'm not having this discussion.
mhm.
Let's spend our time on something more valuable. And so that's the part of research training that you can automate, right? Just watch the video on giving a presentation. Just watch the video on how to write an introduction to a scientific paper.
So this is kind of related to what you were saying right at the beginning about
Yeah.
AI helping teaching, that it takes the weight of all of this repeatable stuff, and then you can
Yes.
focus on like just the stuff that requires human interaction.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's possible. Uh, what people want though is they don't really want you to teach them these research methods. They want confirmation from an authority.
Hmm.
See, that's the thing. That's what we humans value. Give the value. This is where it gives the value. The examination, to have been examined on this topic by a human and been, given the stamp of you're a good XYZ student. Um,
I mean, I
that's
agree that that's what individuals want, but also it's the
yes,
people who are going to be hiring those individuals that want
of
that as
course.
well.
Yeah, they want to. They're lazy bastards. All they want is they want to make their lives easy and see that there's some metric that this person's better at, so they can just tick a box instead of actually
Mhm.
thinking about the people they're hiring. Yeah, I'm sort of a bit salty about the hiring process.
Everywhere or just in academia?
I don't know about anything other than academia, so that's
Okay.
one problem.
Yeah.
Certainly in academia, I think it's also broken, but I'm not the first to say this, and I won't be the last. So.
I think it's similar, like out in the real world as
Mm,
well. I know there was some stage where like people were hiring a lot of self-taught programmers, and it's now swinging back that they pretty
Mhm,
much just
mhm.
want people who have the degrees for one reason or another. I guess because it's
Exactly.
hard to evaluate people.
Well, the way I had it explained to me was that the world ran out of programmers sometime about 10 years ago. They, at some point, they had hired all the programmers from India.
Right.
And
Okay.
so this is Steve Yegi. I don't know if you've heard of this guy.
Yes, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, his
yeah,
tech talk, whatever it's called.
yeah.
Stevie's tech talk.
This,
Yeah. I
for
love
me,
that.
this
That's
is required
awesome.
watching. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and he said we ran out of programmers, and so
Yeah.
but now we haven't. Right now, it's sexy
No,
to
now
fire people.
there's
Yeah,
hundreds of thousands of people programmers that are unemployed. So
yeah. It's bad time
yeah.
to be a programmer.
Yeah,
And
in
so
fact, I loved watching that, but he
yeah.
really pushed like, you know, don't ask any questions, just go and learn how to program. Go and learn how to
Hmm,
program. That's like the
hmm,
most
hmm.
important thing you can do. And like, 5 years
Like
later, it's like
it
not
was
true
kind of wrong.
because
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's
And
kind
in
of bad
fact,
advice.
he's one of the reasons that it's wrong because he's actually like working for one of those companies that's building these like coding AI coding support or
Yeah,
whatever,
right. Yeah,
like putting programmers out of a
co-pilots.
job.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Copilot. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
I don't I liked a lot of what he said, but yeah, that was the one dimension that didn't
yeah.
work for me. Yeah.